Okay, this is a review of the book Win with a Caro-Kann by Sverre Johnsen and Torbjørn Ringdal Hansen. Obviously, I don't think I speak Norwegian, so I'm surely mispronouncing their names. I'm sorry for that. If I'm not wrong, Hansen he was one of the main coaches of Magnus when he was very young, and it's also mentioned in that Play Magnus app. What I like of this book is, and here it says it, that Hansen has played this Caro-Kann all his life, and so is teaching us also through his research, his opening files, and is also teaching us through his games. In fact, what I really like of the book, and of course I want to show you how many chapters you have to study in order to master this opening, is the fact that he has divided it in lessons, and each lesson is upon a different aspect of this opening, but in the lessons he mentions his games that he has played, and the lessons have always a model game. So he always has model games. Like you can see here, okay, you cannot see it, sorry, my fault. The model game number 1 is in fact by Hansen and the other author. So this is really interesting, right? But it is not only his games, there are a lot of games. The one I will show you is between Spassky and 0-1. The point here, however, is that there are also beautiful quotations in the book, so it's really a nice, well done book that deserves to be in everyone chess library, also if they don't want to play the Caro-Kann. But I think they will learn from both sides, so please don't miss this chance to learn from this book, because I really like it. The paper is really nice. In fact, you can write some annotations on this paper, maybe don't do it. And the model game number 3 is between Spassky and 0-1. It was played in USA. It's a blitz from 1990. If you hear some noises in this review, it's not my stomach. There is a big storm outside. I had to open 2 different lights in order to lighten the place here, because outside is dark like night. It's incredible. Again, the book has a lot of theory, a lot of stuff. I don't know how you will learn all of this, because I think you just would take a couple of years to learn all this stuff. I don't know, sorry. But let's just enjoy this game that I wasn't aware of, model game number 3, Spassky 0-1, because I think it's beautiful how Spassky was, however, able to keep a draw against a younger opponent, a young lion trying to bite at him. d4, d5, knight c3, d takes c4. If this was the French, d takes c4 wouldn't be so right, because also if they wrote many books about it, the Rubinstein variation of the French is a disaster in my opinion. And I have played it. I even won some games, but it's very hard for black in my opinion. Knight takes e4, knight f6, knight takes f6, e takes, e takes f6. So this is a hard-fought game between 2 world-class players. It touches upon many critical questions and illustrates the complexity of a Korchnoi variation. However, we must note that since it's a blitz game, the quality of the play is lower than would be usual for these players, so don't judge them too harshly for the mistakes at the end. Well, mistakes at the end, but these are really 2 top players in the world. One was a world champion, so if they make mistake, imagine us. Bishop d6, bishop d3, castle. And I also think that the quality of a blitz game have improved in this year, thanks to the fact that we play online much more. But in reality, I know of some champions like Tal that he really loved to play blitz, and he played every day, every day, every day. Unfortunately, in that time we didn't have a way to record it. So maybe he was playing like 50 games a day blitz. And I know this because I have read about Tal in Sosonko book, but also in other sources. So it's clear he was playing tons of blitz games every day, every day. So you cannot blame us for doing the same and trying to improve if Tal did it, right? Okay, the next move is 92, obviously, because you have a king in the center. But here it says that this move is less common and a bit less flexible than Opla, Queen C2, Rook E8, Knight E2. But it will usually transpose. And here there is a question, which extra option would white get by playing 8 Queen C2 fourth? Well, there are some relatively rare lines where white instead develops his knight to F3, or even leaves it on G1 for quite a long time. This is mostly connected to queenside castling, and you can see several examples in lesson 5. Again, here he also gives other theory, so he's thorough in his thing. Let's go back to that position here. Okay, I think I got it right. Because this is the problem. Okay, this is a criticism of the book, and I think I'm fair to do it. The book, as you can see, has all the diagrams oriented from the white side. But this is a repertoire for black, right? Because it's Caro-Kann. So why are the diagrams oriented from white side? It doesn't make any sense, right? Especially with today technology. Practically with chess base, it's just 2 clicks and you can give the file that will be printed to the publisher with a diagram oriented from the correct side. If the authors are listening and they don't know how to do it, contact chess base, because they will tell you really in a jiffy. They will tell you immediately what to do, how to do it. I remember that I even did it because I already asked them one thing about that and they immediately answered, but it was also in one book about the chess base program, so it's not a big deal to do that. Okay, knight e2, and now rook e8 and bishop e3. As we can see, also in this way, probably white can steal castle queenside if he wants. However, it says, okay, here there are very long comments that maybe are not all appropriate to read in a video because it will become about 100 minutes. But he says that instead of this, this was better, okay? So castle was better, okay? But sometimes, you know, we want to let the other play, the other player don't know where we are going, and so he doesn't know where to attack. So in my opinion, why this is nice is for that reason. He didn't telegraph to Caro-Kann, hey, you can attack me on the king side. Caro-Kann doesn't know if he has to attack on king side or queen side. Knight d7, queen c2, and here, yes, this queen c2, in my opinion, it makes you think that white wants to castle queen side. With the fact that he played this, now you know that he wants to castle queen side, and so you know how to attack there. Now again, guys, I just want to watch this game because I was curious of how these two top players played and how it ended, but I don't want to give you all the comments because honestly, buy the book, no? I bought the book, you buy the book too, we are all happy. Knight f8, and here there is a diagram. And here is another thing, honestly. The book is full of diagrams, so that's really nice because it helps you a lot to put the position back in place in case you want to study also the variation that they give. And here it says this is not the most common move, but transposition are likely. Also here he continued to say that he could have castle king side or castle queen side, and so on. G6, obviously to control these two and prevent this from jumping. And here it says this can be played almost automatically as it blunts white line up of a b1 h7 diagonal. However, black has an interesting alternative which could also make sense in a similar situation. And he says this c5, interesting. And here he gives a line, okay? Okay, very interesting. Castle. White claims to have provoked a weakness on the king side with his 11th move, and now he signals an attack with opposite side castling. f5. If you are allowed to play this against a knight on g3, chances are good it's a strong move. Okay. Knight e2. Obviously you want to avoid the fork. The players in this game are incredibly strong, but even they didn't manage to make all the right decisions. This is partly due to the time limit, but the strategic complexity is also part of the explanation. Okay, but if he made this comment in 2022 and these guys played it in 1990, we understand that in 2022 there is Stockfish 15, that obviously it's beyond whatever any human can think. And so yes, Pascal and 01 didn't have access to that engine, right? But today we do, so. Queen a5. I believe 01 underestimated his position. My choice would have been bishop e6. Okay, so he would have played this move. So he prepares the attack in another way. But obviously this is a blitz game, so. King b1. Bishop e6, b3. So it seems that the white's best option was this, also if it is met by this. Very interesting. Probably again it's the computer that says that, who knows. Queen c7. White's last move created a target for attack. And so obviously you want to play this. But, and again, as you can see, that's why, in my opinion, it's interesting to see the games and comments, the annotation of this kind, light annotation, because they make you think, so why did he play this? Because he wants to attack. And so this was in the way, and he needs to remove it from there. And this is teaching us how to think in chess, because maybe next time we will think about it. Next time it could be also even in a Sicilian game, we will have a queen here and we will remove it to make space for the a pawn. So in my opinion this is a way that we learn. Queen d2, a5, h4. Now we have a typical attack on both sides. a4, b4 and b6. Black is playing too patiently and gives away chances to fight for an advantage. It is better to shut down white's attack with h5. So instead of this, he says it was better to play this. Okay, you say so. And now white plays a dubious move, his bishop f4. It seems it was better to play h5. Okay. But of course it's not that black is getting mated, but it seems it's better, so the engine found probably that move. And black plays b5. It says that it's interesting that neither player wants to push their pawns to h5. The explanation might be that everyone wanted to keep some flexibility, and as a matter of fact, later in the game he played h6 and g5, h6 and g5. So you move on the dark squares. But why? Because, as you can see now, there is an exchange on the dark squares, which means that you only have a bishop on the light squares, and so probably, and also subconsciously, he wanted to put his pawns on the dark squares to avoid that bishop could attack them. That could make sense, right? Okay, knight f4, bishop d5, rook d e1, and knight e6. Black is slightly more comfortable after h5, so instead of knight e6, h5, okay, whatever you say. Knight takes d5, queen takes d5, f3, knight g7. And here is there is another diagram, probably put by the author to see what you would play as white, because that's what I generally have a feeling. But here it says the position is becoming simplified and we are moving towards an endgame where black is no worse. So at this point we are at move 24 and the author is telling us that this is a draw. Rook takes e8, rook takes e8, rook e1, rook takes e1, queen takes e1, knight e6. Okay, queen e3, king g7, again the control of the dark squares, and king b2. White can't make progress, but now black start to push on the king side. If black wants a draw, standing still should do the trick. Okay, h6, g3, f6, bishop e2, g5, h takes g5, h takes g5, bishop d3, f4, g takes f4, knight takes f4. And here there is another diagram, the position is still a drawn, but now white can make use of the e4 square, which is why I like having the pawn on g6 and h5. Still, with this being a blitz game, one can't expect very accurate play. Okay, so his opinion is that maybe it was better to limit the enemy bishop. Okay, bishop c2, knight e6, queen e4. Now there is a mistake by black because he plays queen takes e4, bishop takes e4, knight d8, c4 is a mistake, but it doesn't tell us what should be the right move. B takes c4, king c3, king f7, king takes c4, and king e6. Black is under serious pressure, he says. King c5, and now there is a blunder, big blunder. f5, huge blunder. It seems, but he says bishop, king d7 and d5 look really grim for black, but the engine doesn't share my worries. Okay, so the engine, luckily the engine doesn't think the same. So f5, he said bishop d3, it's a blunder because bishop takes c6 is winning for white. Such a move would normally be a piece of cake for Spassky, but here I'm pretty sure we can blame the clock. So we don't know how many seconds left there were on the clock, so they were probably really out of time. Bishop d3, g4, tack, tack, and here is a draw. Okay, I was just curious to see this game. I hope you enjoyed it. And in case you want to learn about the Caro-Kann, because win, in my opinion, sometimes it's a question of luck, depending on whom you are playing against. Well, if you want to learn the Caro-Kann, this is your book, okay? Thank you.